Good evening. I'd like to call to order this Economic Development Commission regular meeting for Tuesday, March 10th. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Roll call. Ms. Miranda.
Good evening, Honorable Chair. I will proceed with taking the roll call for the Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 Economic Development Commission regular meeting. Prior to doing so, if it is at the pleasure of the Commission, we can excuse Commissioner Hughes, who is not present today. To do so would take a majority consensus of the Economic Development Commission. Do I have a majority consensus to excuse Commissioner Hughes?
Commissioners, do we have a consensus? Yes, we have consensus.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, with that, I will proceed with roll call this evening. Commissioner Chang?
Present.
Commissioner Hughes noted absent and excused for the record. Commissioner Tagle?
Present.
Vice Chair Hu?
Present.
Chair Reyes?
Present.
All commissioners noted present with the exception of Commissioner Hughes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4, public comments and suggestions. This section is reserved for public comment on the consent calendar and items not listed on the agenda. Do I have anyone here for public comment? Seeing no one here for public comment, I will close the public comment section.
Chair Reyes, if I may, for the
I'm
record.
sorry. Absolutely, please, for the record.
Prior to the meeting, the Commission received full text, unredacted copies of one written comment submitted by the deadline for item 4. Requests for copies of written comments can be made to the Department of Community Development during regular business hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miranda. Agenda item 5, consent calendar. 5A, approval of minutes. We need to approve the minutes from Tuesday, February 10th, the Economic Development Commission regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as is?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
Great, thank you.
Item 6, new and old business. Section 6A, review and consideration of an informational report regarding the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation's 2026 Economic Forecast Report. Ms. Miranda.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members of the Economic Development Commission. This evening's presentation provides an overview of the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, or LAEDC, 2026 Economic Forecast Summit, which staff attended in February 2026. The summit provided national, state, and regional economic projections, along with discussions on key industry trends and policy developments that may influence economic conditions across the Los Angeles region. Staff regularly participates in regional economic development forums to monitor economic trends to further support the local economy. At this time, I would like to direct your attention to the screen for the presentation. At the national level, LAEDC summit presenters indicated that the United States economy continues to expand, although the pace of growth is moderating across industries. Inflation has declined, but is projected to remain above 2%, and labor market conditions are gradually softening. At the state level, California remains the fourth largest economy in the world, with gross domestic product, or GDP, outpacing national averages in recent years. It was also noted that continued investment in technology and artificial intelligence has supported growth in the information sector since 2023. The regional forecast reflected continued resilience in Los Angeles County despite disruptions, including wildfire recovery efforts, global trade volatility, and changes in federal immigration enforcement. While employment levels remain elevated relative to pre-pandemic benchmarks, presenters noted that job growth has softened and economic momentum has slowed. Housing affordability continues to represent a significant structural constraint across the region. Only 13% of households can afford the median-priced home, while more than 50% of renters are considered cost-burdened. The presenters also noted that housing production remains below projected demand levels. In addition to the main economic forecast presentation, the summit included breakout sessions focused on sector-specific economic conditions. The healthcare breakout session discussed rising operational costs, insurance denials, and ongoing challenges related to healthcare access and affordability. The construction breakout session focused on development constraints, including capital availability, consultant cost pressures, and regulatory complexity affecting both large infrastructure projects and smaller development activity. In conclusion, LAEDC's 2026 Economic Forecast Summit provided an overview of moderating national economic growth and continued structural pressures affecting Los Angeles County, particularly related to housing affordability and workforce conditions. The discussions also highlighted varying performance across industry sectors and the influence of federal policy decisions on regional economic conditions. Staff will continue monitoring regional economic trends and participating in economic development forums to remain informed of factors that may influence business activity and long-term economic conditions affecting the city of Cerritos. At this time, it is recommended that the Commission review and discuss the information provided and receive and file this report. This concludes my presentation. At this time, staff is available to answer any questions that the Commissioners may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miranda. Questions from the Commissioners? Mr. Taglay?
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Miranda, for the report. Very interesting. And I plan to read the full report when I have time. There's a lot of information here. But what was the staff's, I guess, key takeaways that Cerritos could potentially act upon based upon what were the findings of LAEDC for the region?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Taglay. Definitely one important takeaway from this summit was that while the economy continues to expand, growth is moderating. And as the presenters at the summit kind of explained, several structural challenges remain, particularly housing affordability, workforce availability, and cost pressures across industries. So this type of information is definitely helpful when staff is able to keep that in mind to see how that will trickle down and affect the city of Cerritos specifically.
Okay. Thank you. Would you say, I guess, what was the time period of this forecast? Is it just for the next year or two?
Yes, correct. It covered 2025 calendar year.
Okay, so I guess how would Cerritos' projected growth compare to the county? Are we outgrowing them? Are we about on par?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for the question. So these trends, and compared to other regions, specifically for Los Angeles County, many major metropolitan areas are experiencing similar economic trends, including the housing affordability challenges and workforce shifts. So these can tend to be more pronounced in high-cost regions such as Los Angeles County, being that it is a larger area. So being that Cerritos is, an average sized city within Los Angeles County, it does fall in the, similar average range to what other regions are experiencing as well.
And if I may add, Commissioner Tagle, the Department of Community Development has, I think one of the benchmarks of economic growth is when businesses want to come to Cerritos and their tenant improvements on all their projects, they invest in the community so that, they can have stores here. And so that has continued to be strong in the city. We see a lot of interest in coming in the city. We see a lot of business owners who want to make investments in our community. And so while perhaps there's, nationally, state-wise, county-wise, there's a little hesitancy. We are very fortunate in Cerritos to continue to have great interest by the business community to come to Cerritos, or if you are here to, build your business, to grow it.
Okay, thank you. So that's an economic indicator that we'll want to keep tabs on for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tagle. Commissioner Chang.
Yeah, so this is a discussion, right? So brainstorming, discussion, raise up some issues. So I reviewed the deck, and the picture seems, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to be economic growth is happening, but very, very mildly, right? So it's not a rosy picture, but at the same time, it's not doom and gloom. So in that discussion, right, earlier, Cerritos specific. So as far as I know, our economic anchors is the dealership, the mall, the town center, right? So from that lens, how are we protecting, our businesses to generate? So what are we? We're looking for shoppers, we're looking for visitors, or we're looking for diners. We have a lot of restaurants, right? So how do we protect that business? And I think in terms of how do we dedicate our resources, I think a key thing is crime. We got to minimize crime. If we're to become a destination city, we cannot have the perception. I think unfortunately, Cerritos sometimes we're the victim of some crime because people just want to come to Cerritos and do something, right? So I think we need to focus on that if we need to focus on anything. If we're to become the destination city, as an example, I'm Chinese. I eat Chinese food. We go to Monterey Park, right, to eat. And it's oftentimes, that's the destination. I don't know what I'm going to eat. Let's go to Monterey Park and we'll figure it out, right? I think we need to have to be the destination city where, hey, you know what? I need to buy something. Let's go to Cerritos and we'll figure it out. Or I want to eat something interesting. Let's go to Cerritos and figure it out. So I think for us to be a destination city, I think it starts with crime. There's a lot of other things that we need to protect. Maybe licensing of the businesses, maybe upkeep of the parks, a lot of other things. But I think it starts with crime. I even read the comment that they complained. There was a complaint. There's 2 other incidences, right? And then last night I was still talking about with my son. There was 2 murders, right, near Regional Park a couple of months ago. So I think the key is for us to become destination cities. Then with the economic downturn and upturn, I think we can be a little bit more resilient if we are that destination city.
Thank you, Commissioner Chang. Vice Chair Hugh.
Thank you. Well, one thing is don't increase the sales tax. Try to convince your council member. To me, if I want to purchase expensive stuff, I will go to Orange County to pay 8.75% sales tax, and instead of go to Cerritos Mall. When you purchase $10,000 stuff, how much sales tax you will save? Especially right now, the city council is discussing about to increase the sales tax. That's very important. To me, I think increased sales tax in Cerritos will hurt our business. That's definitely, I think so. And another thing, you see, people around me right now, instead of going out to eat, they would rather stay home and cook at home. Yeah, because you're talking about you spend $100, you have to pay another $20 for tips and $10 for sales tax. So anyway, so without increased sales tax, it's very important to help our business in Auto Mall, Cerritos Mall, and the restaurant too. Okay, that's the. And I have one question was, I like to have the brief update about our housing. I remember by 2029, City of Cerritos has to build 900 units, low-income housing. Did ever, the city council discuss about this, project recently or not? So I like to have brief update from the staff.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hu. To answer your question about the housing, so what you're referring to is the state's requirement for the city to plan for, to rezone to accommodate 1,908 units. The city is not responsible for building it. We just need to make sure we rezone so the zones allow for the development of housing. And so in December 2025, the City Council did vote to rezone the properties required so that the city can accommodate for 1,908 units. So with this rezoning, the city, welcomes conversations with potential developers and property owners for housing development, as that was mentioned in this report. Housing affordability, access to housing is very important. And so, we need to make sure we have enough homes so people can live in Cerritos and shop and, work in Cerritos. And so the city continues to make sure that we have those open discussions. Then in February 2020, just last month, the Planning Commission and City Council reviewed a housing development for 30 townhomes, and it was approved. The precise plan was approved for the development of housing. So slowly but surely, the city is making efforts in support of housing development.
Yeah. For the time being, how many potential units will be built within next year? Because you are talking about 1908 units. That's a lot. So far, I don't know how many. What is the percentage the city of Cerritos already built? Or
Sure. So the city ourselves, we are not responsible. We are not responsible for building the housing. The city's responsibility is to make sure that all the zoning is available so that potential developer can build for housing. So this last month as well, the City Council and Planning Commission reviewed an item that reported the number of housing units over since 2021. So in that, there's accessory dwelling units that count toward the housing development. So it's up to private developers and private property owners for housing development. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact number. It's not in the hundreds, but we're making slow and small progress toward that. So we have, when accessory dwelling units get built, that counts towards the city's housing credit. But also when we just had 30 units get built, I believe last year or 3 years ago, we had 5 homes get approved by the City Council, and with each of those homes have their own ADU. So there are small projects coming along the line, and we do welcome all the conversations with potential housing developers as well.
Yeah, I know you have 5 single-family homes on Grayland, and also 2 houses on Artesia Boulevard, and also maybe the lot South End Broomfield maybe built some townhomes or a single-family home, but that's not enough versus the 1908 units.
Mm-hmm.
We only have 3 years to go, or what, 2029? So we have to push up. So to me, I think we should have push those property owner on Valley View and between Artesia and Highway 5. Those, industrial area. So hopefully we can have a big developer build, a few hundred apartments or like that would be, you know, much helper, because I don't know we're running out of time or not. But anyway, so thank you very much for your report. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hugh. First of all, again, I'll say it every single month I'm here that I love serving on this commission. The wealth of knowledge that we have here is outstanding, as well as the reports we get from city staff, as well as the LA Economic Development Commission. I'd kind of like to put a bow on all this and say that from my perspective, I do have some caution about the economy going forward. And I think we should control what we can control. My best estimates, and again, we've only had this for a couple of days for me to review. I think if we could probably pull a 2% growth, either in Cerritos specifically or LA County, that would be good for this economic climate, considering tariffs and economic pipelines that are being shut off around the world and how that affects us here. If we could pull a 2% growth in the upcoming year, calendar year and or fiscal year, that would be pretty remarkable. I also feel relatively confident, I should say strongly confident, that our city staff is doing what they need to do with respect to our investments, with respect to what we're doing going forward with housing. We're clearly not going to end the housing affordability crisis statewide or nationwide in the city of Cerritos. That's just not going to happen. What we need to do is make sure that we're doing everything, doing our due diligence to make sure we're having affordable housing for the residents who do want to move here, that can supplement our business community that's here, which is really what we do. As I've said several times, the business of Cerritos is business. We need to make sure that we are supporting our own businesses. So from that perspective, I feel really, really positive. Again, anybody who knows me, and I know my friends on this commission know me really, really well, my fear is not recession. It's not even some of the things we've talked about. It's inflation. And I think for most people, whether they live in Cerritos or anywhere else, inflation is a real thing. We'll survive a recession. Cerritos always has, it always will. The level of input we have from the town center and the mall and the auto square and the restaurants and now the theater, and we're starting to have our ducks in a row, we'll do fine. But inflation is something that is placed upon us that we just have to deal with if it comes. So hopefully we don't get to that point. One of the reasons I'm very excited, prior to this meeting, we were talking about the World Cup coming to LA County, to the three countries, but LA County specifically, events that we could possibly have, whether they coincide with events we already have, whether it's 4th of July, Ube Fest, et cetera. But again, things to bring customers into Cerritos to stay at our hotels, to shop at our restaurants, derive the sales tax benefit from that. If we can continue to do those things, we should be okay for the calendar year fiscal year. Again, it probably won't be a 4%, 6% growth. Certainly we're not looking at anything near double digits, but in the times we have now with housing affordability and other threats, if we can pull a 2% growth in the city of Cerritos, that'd be pretty solid. That'd be pretty remarkable. So I feel cautiously optimistic without being irrationally exuberant, if I'm allowed to say that. So, all right, moving on. 6B, review and consideration of an informational report related to commercial filming in the city of Cerritos. Ms. Miranda.
Thank you, Chair Reyes. Agenda item 6B this evening will provide an overview of commercial filming in the city of Cerritos. The presentation will be given by Management Analyst Mariel Angelis, after which staff will be available to answer any questions that the commissioners may have. At this time, I'll turn your attention to Ms. Angelis. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Miranda. Good evening, Chair and members of the Economic Development Commission. As you may be aware, the city of Cerritos is a beautiful master plan community. And as a result, from time to time, staff receives inquiries about commercial filming in the city. This evening's presentation is an informational report regarding commercial filming in the city of Cerritos and the positive economic impacts that result from these activities. At this time, please turn your attention to the screen for my presentation. The city of Cerritos has long been recognized as a strategically positioned location within the greater Los Angeles region, making it an attractive and accessible location for commercial filming. As a master plan community, the city offers a diverse range of well-maintained public facilities, commercial centers, parks, and residential neighborhoods that provide versatile filming environments. This variety of settings has helped establish Cerritos as a desirable filming destination. Efforts to support commercial filming in the city of Cerritos is in direct support of the city's strategic plan, goal number 4, strengthen economic development, which is intended to continue driving economic growth. By attracting film, television, and commercial productions, filming activity enhances the city's visibility as a desirable and film-friendly location for businesses and visitors. Commercial filming also generates permit fees and cost recovery revenue for city services, which support fiscal sustainability. Additionally, filming stimulates local economic activity by increasing patronage of film crews at nearby restaurants, retail establishments, and other businesses, while strengthening partnerships with property owners. Overall, filming helps advance the city's broader efforts to foster business attraction, encourage strategic investment, and maintain a dynamic marketplace. In an effort to support the city's strategic plan goal number 4 and uphold the city's commitment to fostering economic growth, commercial filming and professional commercial photography conducted within the city's jurisdiction are regulated by way of a City of Cerritos film and photography permit process. On the screen is the city's film webpage. Information on obtaining a permit is available at the city's website at www.filmcerritos.com or by contacting the Department of Community Development at 562-916-1201. As you can see, an applicant is provided with information on the permit process, which begins with initial review and coordination through the Department of Community Development to discuss proposed filming activities, locations and scheduling, and reviewing potential impacts to adjacent uses. Applicants are encouraged to submit a complete permit application at least 14 business days prior to the proposed filming, or earlier for larger productions, to allow adequate review and interdepartmental coordination as needed. A complete film and photography permit application may include the following, depending on the scope of the production: a completed film and photography permit application, a written description or cover letter outlining the filming activity and storyline, a site plan showing production layout, including parking, equipment staging, and filming areas, a traffic control and parking plan if filming outdoors, property owner authorization and executed location agreement, a certificate of general liability insurance, an approved Los Angeles County Fire Department film permit, and payment of applicable fees. Currently, the city's application fee for a film and photography permit is $250 for each day of filming and $200 for each additional filming location. Additional fees may be assessed if the applicant is filming on city property. Once all required documentation is submitted, reviewed for compliance, and applicable fees are paid, a film and photography permit may then be issued at the discretion of the city manager, authorizing commercial filming in accordance with approved conditions. For your reference, the table before you shows the number of film permits issued by the Department of Community Development over the past several years. The city prides itself in the variety of settings available to support a wide range of commercial, promotional, television, and independent productions at both public and private locations throughout the community. Inquiries are often received for the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts due to its iconic exterior architecture and highly adaptable interior spaces. Additionally, filming permits are often issued for popular city parks and facilities, such as the Cerritos Olympic Swim and Fitness Center located as part of Cerritos Park East, Liberty Park, the Cerritos Sculpture Garden, and the Cerritos Library. For privately owned properties such as retail centers and auto dealerships within the Cerritos Auto Square, including retail shops at the Los Cerritos Center, filming permits are issued for advertising campaigns, digital media productions, student films, and fashion photo shoots. Some of the more notable productions have included episodes and segments of home improvement television series, such as Property Brothers, Flip or Flop, and The Flipping El Musas. In 2021, the city's Olympic Swim and Fitness Center had served as a filming backdrop for the Foo Fighters music video, Love Dies Young, and I'm Ready by Demi Lovato and Sam Smith. In 2021, a television series entitled Colin in Black and White about the life of former professional football quarterback Colin Kaepernick was filmed in a residential neighborhood in the city, reminiscent of the athlete's childhood hometown. In 2022, an application was submitted for a Netflix series, then entitled Emerald, starring actress Sofia Vergara, and filmed at the former Sears property. The series was later on released as Griselda. Most recently, in 2025, the revival of Reading Rainbow was filmed at the Cerritos Library. The Cerritos Library was featured in the opening credits. As you can see, it is through the city's existing film and photography permit process that the city maintains a structured and consistent framework for reviewing and approving filming requests, thus furthering the city's objective to strengthen economic growth by remaining film-friendly while upholding community standards and municipal regulations. In conclusion, commercial filming continues to represent a valuable opportunity for the city of Cerritos, providing economic activity, positive regional exposure, and the ability to showcase the community's distinctive assets to a broad audience. The city remains committed to thoughtfully managing filming activities to ensure productions are conducted in a manner that prioritizes public safety, minimizes temporary disruptions, and protects neighborhood quality of life. At this time, it is recommended that the Commission review and discuss the information provided and receive and file this report. This concludes my presentation. At this time, staff is available to answer any questions the Commissioners may have.
Thank you so much. Do we have public comment on 6B? None? Hearing none, close public comment on 6B. Questions or discussion with the Commissioners? Mr. Chang.
Okay, so, well, thank you very much for the report. Let me turn this on. So, this is actually good activity. What that means is that, what we talked about earlier, we want to be that destination city for economic development. We want to attract foot traffic, attract visitors, attract shoppers, attract diners. So this is definitely good, right? We will generate some revenue from the application fees. Some of the restaurants may benefit, but that is actually marginal compared to the branding Cerritos might get, right? If Cerritos is known as the city where they film, where the stars come, right? That's the city where I want to be. So branding and a destination, but we need to balance this, right? With is it inconvenient? Right? Is it disruptive? Right? And obviously we need to manage this really closely and make sure that, I know there's insurance, but make sure that things are very well maintained and we don't compromise anything. But if you think about it, if you look at it, we have Performing Arts Center, right? The library was talked about several times. Even this chamber it's very attractive, very professional, right? And we have a lot of parks, right? I do have when I was in college, my college attract a lot of film crews, several times a month. And it was never an inconvenience if I have to walk past, if I have to ride my bike past. It was always, oh, hey, that's so cool. I want to take a peek. I want to see who's acting. I want to see who's the star. So I think it generates a lot of excitement instead of, oh man, this is so inconvenient. But it's actually a lot of excitement. So yes, we want to balance this endorsement with a lot of cautions about management and about keeping things order and tidy. But at the same time, the revenue that we're going to generate is great. At the same time, I think we're building a brand, and that's the most important thing. So, anyways, I endorse it, but with caution. We got to manage this appropriately. But I think this is a good thing for Cerritos.
Thank you, Commissioner Chang. If I may add, so as part of staff's review process, staff takes careful consideration for each film permit. While we do get film permit requests, our number one priority is our residents and existing programming. So when we're going to city facilities, the swim center or parks, those are reviewed with care to make sure that existing programming is not impacted in any way. Staff's scrutiny over each request ensures that surrounding businesses, surrounding residents to wherever they're filming are not impacted. So I just wanted to provide that comment that staff does understand that we are also a residential hometown, to our community, and that is very important to staff to maintain.
Quick question. I did see a trend that's coming down, right? So 4 years ago, it was 19 filming, and now it's dropped to 11. Do we have any efforts to be out there attracting film crews or production companies, enticing them with our facility?
Thank you, Commissioner Chang. Unfortunately, due to the limited staff that we have, we are unable to be more proactive in the filming. In our filming program, staff does remain available, and should film agents reach out to us, we respond within 24 hours to kind of get more information. So we pride ourselves in being available. However, just due to limitations, that proactive marketing is not there. I will note, though, we have heard from past film agents that they do talk amongst themselves, and Cerritos does have a positive name, kind of in the filming atmosphere, of being a positive city to film in and to work with staff on.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chang. Commissioner Tagle.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Angeles, for the report. Really appreciate it. I find this a really interesting topic as well. So, to your point, we don't want to necessarily detract from city services, but there are a lot of benefits to having commercial filming in Cerritos, not the least of which, as Commissioner Chang mentioned, is branding. So I think this warrants at least a bit more study. And there's not a big sample size here, but there were 56 permits issued in the last 4 years. Maybe there can be some further study on what the economic impact of that is. Like, I don't know if you can boil it down to a per permit basis, how much activity is generated in terms of jobs, and then, activity around the restaurants, and then facility rental, any contractors, so anything like that. It would be worth saying, because to your point, you only have limited staffing. You're not going to be going out recruiting Hollywood producers and showrunners. I get that. However, if somebody does approach, and maybe they've heard of Cerritos because they saw the Cerritos Auto Square commercials or whatever, there can still be a lot of what you already have, say all of the marketing materials that attract businesses that could also be used to attract potential, again, showrunners that may want to use this. And so it would be to use the city. So it would be good to see, again, even though it's a small sample size, what exactly is the economic impact of bringing in that kind of activity? We're not going to bring in, a big Hollywood film and taking over Cerritos for 2 months and filming Star Wars. But if, say, an ad agency wants to come in for a day and film a commercial, there's value in that, right? Maybe they have a lot of options to weigh. We should be part of that mix. I think, for all the reasons stated and just the beauty of this city, there's a lot of attractive pieces to this. So yeah, that's what I'd want to see. I think underlying this is the discussions we've had in prior meetings about diversifying our revenue sources, right? We're not going to be Culver City to film productions, but again, if somebody wants to drop revenue on us, let's take it. Why not? And at the same time, that economic impact report should include all of the branding value that is going to uplift all the various city services that we have. So again, I tend to think positive. I always think of these initiatives that are brought before us as revenue opportunities and not just expenses or, extra staff time or whatever. It can all be turned into revenue drivers for the city. And again, branding and all that's, can be immeasurable depending on what, in what light the city is presented. So that's all. So certainly support any filming activity, within reason, for city codes and standards and so forth. But yeah, I would love to hear more, as we move forward and see how this can be turned into positive and increased revenue for the city. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Tagle. Vice Chair Hugh.
Okay, from the report, see, the film permits from 2022, we have 19 permits issued. And 4 years later, 2025, we only have 9. So we don't know, 2026 will drop to what's the number. I want to see why the permits drop so bad. And also, we have such a beautiful library, performing arts center, mall, and auto mall, and town center. They are so beautiful. I don't know why we don't have that many film production company come to do the film in our city. As a business person, every year, especially in the beginning of the year, I always have my this year's goal and goals and the plan too, business plan. So may I ask, as the city of Cerritos, what's your plan to attract production, company to come to our city to do the films? So what's the number will be in 2026? And what is your plan to attract them to come? So yeah, the goals, how many permits we like to issue, and how do you have any plan to attract those companies to come to the city to do the films? Thank you. I hope you have.
Thank you,
Discuss.
Vice.
Just
Thank you,
discuss.
Vice Chair Hu. So while staff, our expertise is not in the film industry, we are happy to work with anyone, any film inquiries that do come across staff's desk. We do know over the past couple years there have been like film strikes, writer strikes that perhaps may have impacted the filming industry. So that could have been a potential, decline. I know there's been a lot of film companies filming outside of California as well. I think going back to item 6A in the economic forecast, the state, in their way to attract, filming to stay in the city, is giving tax credits for filming companies. At the Cerritos local level, staff just continues to remain available. What we have found is when we do have a film company film in Cerritos, there's a high chance they'll come back. For example, Dick's Sporting Goods continues to choose Cerritos to be the place they film their commercials. Their flagship store here in Cerritos, they it's a very beautiful building, designed very beautifully. And so that is their pride and joy. And so they will choose to come to Cerritos to film. And when they do come to Cerritos to film, we get film permit revenue generated that to recoup staff's time. When there's filming at city facilities, city is able to recoup facility fees as well as staff time utilized at those facility fees, overseeing that. So kind of to the commission's points, we do try to recoup. So, but Vice Chair Hu, the film program is a small program of the Department of Community Development. When there are opportunities to expand, we will continue to explore that. It's just at this time, they're with the limited staffing and that we have, we will do our best. So,
Okay, thank you. See, not money, because we have such a beautiful facilities. We want to have people know about it. So that's exposure for from our city. Every time I met my friends or talk about it, they always mention about how beautiful our library is, which is truth. So we want to have people know not only library in the Cerritos, we also have a performing arts center and the auto mall. And look the picture. My God, our the picture shows here, just amazing, so pretty. Even the auto dealers, they are so good. So and our parks and schools. So we really want to have more exposure to to the people, outside the Cerritos, and that will increase our property value too. You know that? Yeah, really, it's very important. We're not just talk about $250 permit fee. We will generate a lot of things you won't see it, not the money. So I hope this year, 2026, staff work hard to get more, production, films. I don't want to see the number 2026 only 5 or 6, getting less and less. So I want to have more and more film, permit issued by the city. And thank you very much. So thank you your explanation. Maybe you really don't know what's the number. You cannot guess. But anyway, the information you provide is good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would just throw out, again, given the resource constraints, Ms. Chan, I appreciate all that. But, within what you already do to attract businesses, maybe we can be creative with that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a business that physically gets located in Cerritos. So say you do these grand openings for businesses and they get recognition, or you have these programs where they come to say, why not do that for a production company that chooses to film in Cerritos and publicize, hey, they filmed this film or commercial at Dick's Sporting Goods that ingested X amount of dollars into the city. Let's recognize them for that within your social media, or do a grand opening for them, or something within the guise of the programming that you already do to attract businesses, just to bring more attention to that. I didn't know all these films were made in Cerritos. If I did, maybe I should go back and watch them. But yeah, I mean, if that activity happened, let's hype it up. So people, oh, hey, that was done in Cerritos? Okay, well, again, without much effort, you're already marketing to businesses. Let's shoot them that same brochure too and see if that production company may want to come down here as well. Just some thoughts. But, again, we're never going to have a film commission of Cerritos. I get that. But within what you already do to attract businesses, let's keep this in mind too as a category that can potentially have benefits beyond physically locating a space in Cerritos.
So, sorry, one more comment. We have a marketing expert here, right? So you have, I don't know if you have pictures, stock films, anything that you can compile together, right? Some of the really nice facilities and whatever is pleasing to the eyes. He's a marketing expert. So may I suggest, I know I can't order anyone. May I suggest maybe put together a simple portfolio, and Hollywood's just 30 minutes away, right? So maybe we can email some of these production companies.
Oh, I'd like to do a reel.
Yeah, and then include a reel, and then include a small information packet on fees, right? Application fees, and then whatever else is uncovered and what some of the requirements. Send out a packet, and we can. I'm not saying an email blast, but at least we have the content, and we can get some emails and we can send it out, right? The more known and more buzz it can create, maybe we can generate some interest.
Thank you, commissioners. That was fantastic, as always. Several things. One, thank you for recognizing we don't have any real power. It's true. We can come up with these great ideas and make recommendations to staff and council, but all we can do is recommend. We don't really have any say so. First of all, I want to thank staff for that report. That was fantastic. Also, to piggyback off what Ms. Chan said, having worked for the city in my previous iteration of a career, I think staff does a fantastic job. Whenever we've had to rent out city facilities, whether it's the swim center, whether it's Cerritos Park East, be what it may, they do a fantastic job of the screening, of having the insurance forms, all their ducks in a row, making sure that our residents are not impacted, which is critical. We are a neighborhood community. We are a city. We are not a film site. Although, as we've all explained, that we are pretty attractive to film companies compared to the other cities in LA County and other counties. So we're going to continue to get calls with or without staff, that we don't have a film commission, but we're going to continue to get phone calls, and we need to be diligent in doing that. Second point, I know that my fellow commissioners and I have talked about this all the time, being in economic development, diversify. Good Lord willing, someday we'll have a film commission on city staff, and their job will be to hey, get as many films, TV shows, commercials as humanly possible. I know that specifically with the Auto Square and Dick's Sporting Goods, since you brought it up, the impact to our residents was minimal, and to our shoppers at the mall and in and around Studebaker and Gridley was minimal, which is what we want. We want the revenue derived without impacting our residents. Also, as we all know, that I'm heavily involved in the theater. The beauty of the theater is that it's almost always self-contained. They come in through the south lot. The residents don't even know they're here. They film inside the theater, whether it's the Sierra Room or the main theater. They pay their $250. Then the crew, some of them stay at the Sheraton if it's a 2-day shoot. They go eat at Islands. They go eat at Wood Ranch. They go to Kohl's if they need to buy something real quick. It's a win-win all the way around. I would venture to say that 90, 95, 99% of our residents don't even know they're there. They don't even, which is what we want. We want them to come in, do their shoot, drop off their money, patronize our restaurants, and then they're in and out before anybody knows it. So diversification is the key. Why additional revenue streams? That's what we really want. We were looking as we diversify our economy to a 2026 economy versus maybe what we did 40 years ago when I was graduating high school. Oh, that hurt. Oh, that one hurt. It's a different time. It's definitely a different time. And to piggyback off my fellow commissioners, yes, we want to brand Cerritos. We want to make sure we are a destination location. We want to make sure that people, oh, yeah, Cerritos has a theater. Oh, yeah, well, Dick's Sporting Goods filmed there and the Auto Square films there. Maybe Macy's should film there. Maybe Nordstrom should film there. That's what we want. We want, if we don't have a direct film commission, that word of mouth as agents and managers talk to each other, film crews talk to each other, showrunners talk to each other. That's how things get done, or one of the ways things get done in Hollywood, which, as Commissioner Chang said, is only 30 minutes up the freeway. And also, finally, it's always tough. Over the last 4 or 5 years coming out of COVID, there was a previous city manager. There was a strike or threat of a strike. Those are things, as I've said before, and I will continue to say, to pull out my Marcus Aurelius, we can only control what we can control. We can't control pandemics. We cannot control writer strikes or actor strikes or what SAG-AFTRA is going to do. All we can do is make sure our ducks are in a row. So when opportunity presents itself, the city has a chance to garner those film rights, those television rights, collect our revenue, and keep the city moving as quickly as humanly possible and as economically viable as humanly possible. So yeah, I think these are all great ideas. I think in talking to my fellow commissioners, we will definitely be talking to council. This is something we want to do. Who knows? I mean, maybe one of us, when we all retire, will be the head of film commission for the city of Cerritos, and we'll go out and talk to the showrunners and the agents and the Hollywood people, and hey, you should film here. So, but we'll see how that goes. That's a story for another time. Before I leave 6B, since there's nothing else, did we have any written correspondence, Ms. Miranda, on this item?
Thank you, Chair Reyes. Yes, prior to the meeting, the Commission received full text unredacted copies of one written comment submitted by the deadline for item 6B. Requests for copies of written comments can be made to the Department of Community Development during regular business hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miranda. Item 7A, reports from designated commission staff liaison. Ms. Miranda.
Thank you, Chair. No items to report tonight.
Fantastic. Moving on to 7B, reports from Economic Development Commission members. Okay, Commissioner Taglay or Commissioner Chang, who wants to go first? Commissioner,
Nothing here.
nothing there? Commissioner Taglay, he says got nothing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll no formal report, but I think it bears a lot of the conversation we've been having bears bringing up to the wider body here is, and also with the LAEDC report, I think it's timely. But clearly, there's a lot of economic activity happening in the region, for better or worse. But I think there's just a lot of high volume that's going to be happening with a lot of the events, so World Cup and the Olympics in a couple of years. And I've seen just from my own observation and also in attending other business events and through the course of my work that there are a lot of municipalities around the region that are trying to take advantage of that in a positive way. Like City of Downey is going to have their own World Cup fan festival that's actually sanctioned by FIFA. So big family-friendly events, and that'll be happening for the duration of an entire month. So that's a lot of economic activity. Whether you even watch the sport or not is almost irrelevant. A lot of the businesses locally will be participating in that. Same with the city of Pico Rivera, also doing a World Cup event, not affiliated with FIFA, but still they're taking advantage of all the foot traffic and certainly a lot of the out-of-town guests that will be here, and just the need and want to go to a communal place to view those events. So there's plenty of that going on. Obviously, we have some limits here in Cerritos, but I think it would be wise for us to at least be cognizant of supporting the businesses who can take advantage of that additional attention. Obviously, the restaurants and bars come to mind, but hotels and, again, shopping activity and things like that. At best, we would help amplify their efforts. But at worst, I think, with all the programming that we already do, we wouldn't want to come across as not paying attention to everything that's going on in the region and say, scheduling what we normally do in June and July, and not knowing that there's a big World Cup game going on with the USA or Mexico or all of these very popular teams. We would just kind of look out of touch, or at worst tone deaf, that these cultural events are happening, but also economic opportunities are happening, and we're not doing our best to maximize that, because these don't come every year. The U.S. has not hosted a World Cup since 1994. The chances of them hosting another one in 30 years, in probably most of our lifetimes, are slim. Not all of our lifetimes, but yeah. And the same with the Olympics in a couple of years for all of that. And again, it's not just sports, it's arts and culture and everything, all of the international travel. So I think that, with us being in economic development, we want to make sure, again, that we take advantage of all of this activity in the region and see if there's some way that Cerritos can take some advantage, and benefit. If it's just more foot traffic to our restaurants, so be it. I mean, all of these folks traveling in for these events, there's a joke, everybody has relatives in Cerritos, or somebody who lives in Cerritos. They're going to be staying in Cerritos because they have family here, whether they're seeing the event anywhere in LA County at SoFi Stadium or Orange County or wherever they're doing. So I think we want to be active participants in that. We don't want to be seen as a community that's insular, that we're only trying to attract businesses whose customers reside in Cerritos or in the immediate neighborhoods. We, again, to the point raised earlier, we want to be a destination. So I will read with great interest the LA EDC report in depth. So thank you again for presenting that. And again, I think, no specific suggestions. We've had some of those in prior meetings, which, there are budget constraints and all that. But let's be cognizant of what opportunities can be made available this year and in the coming years, and how we can best take advantage of that to grow our businesses, their prosperity, and also the expanding our revenue opportunities in terms of tax revenue and permits and all of this associated activity, and participate in what LA County is doing and the broader region is doing. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tagle. Vice Chair Hugh.
No report, thank you.
Okay, commissioners, thank you so much. Great job again tonight, as always. City staff, thanks so much. I will make mine quick. Congratulations to Jeff and his staff at the theater again. Sellout after sellout after sellout. Eagles Hotel California, Ada Cuevas. I mean, I could literally go down, but I want to shorten this meeting, not prolong it. But they did a fantastic job. But specific to economic development at the theater, I got the 411 last month, but I didn't have the exact businesses. We have 2 brand new corporate sponsors at the theater. Kaiser Permanente is one, and Golden Star Technologies is the other. They've made sizable contributions to our theater. If those of you who know me, I've talked about Invest Where You Live, and that just doesn't talk about shop, dine, Cerritos with our residents, but as well as our corporate neighbors. So now we have two more 2 more names. I believe Jeff will go on the wall at some point. And as you walk through the theater, we have 2 more corporate sponsors. And again, I don't want to divulge too much, but as we go forward, more and more corporate sponsors investing in our city. They do business in our city. They invest in our city, which is exactly what we want. I will say one before we get out of here, because I always shoot for the moon anyway. With the Olympics coming up in 2 years, I thought it'd be a great idea if somehow, some way, with our corporate partners at the Sheraton, maybe some of the events that are happening in Long Beach, some of the athletes stay here the week they're competing in our Sheraton. Whether it's I think it's the triathlon crew. Again, it's not the bigger events. It's not track and field. It's not. But hey, if we could adopt a couple athletes and put them up at the Sheraton, they'd have to bring their coaches would stay here, their families would stay here. And again, if all we derive is some extra sales tax revenue, that's fantastic because it also goes to branding. It also goes to destination location for Cerritos, which again, this is really the goal going forward in the 21st century. I've talked about it ad nauseum, not about the Olympics specifically, but in general. In general, we need to be a city where we're pro-business and we're inviting people in that are going to patronize our shops, our restaurants, our hotels, our mall, our auto square, et cetera. And if we can use the World Cup sooner rather than later and the Olympics a year or 2 down the road as a caveat for our own goals, that is something we should look into. Again, diversification of our economic portfolio. So I think we're all on the right track. So thank you again, commissioners. Thank you, city staff. Fantastic meeting. And if there's nothing further, I will adjourn us.